Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joins us. Robert, how are you, sir?
I'm fabulous. How are you guys?
Cannot complain. It's tournament time. It's just that's like coffee in the veins, baby.
Yeah, gotta love it. And you got two teams that got a chance to do something, so that's exciting.
3, really.
Who's the third?
Indiana women's team.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking just men. Sorry, being a sexist. You're right.
Actually, the women's team, the Indiana women's team, probably has to do the most.
Yeah, and losing to Ohio State may not have been the worst thing for them.
Yeah, it's not with a 23-point lead. That
was unbelievable. But sometimes losing before you go into the tournament kind of puts a fire under your behind.
I can tell you that I all I had to do was watch. Grace Berger is not somebody who talks anyway. She's very, very meek, and I could see how pissed off she was.
Good.
I mean, this is someone who does not show emotion ever of any kind, good, bad, there, other. It seemed like it was coming out of her pores.
Yeah.
At the presser. It really, I mean, the disappointment that and I think you're right for this team. I think they're a team that can use that mentally to focus in the right way. Some wouldn't, but women are smarter than men.
I hope so, because they are Final Four worthy without question.
They lost more games in their last 2 games than they did all season long. So you would think, I mean, it took a Caitlin Clark buzzer beater to hand them their second loss of the season. So
right.
that was
a stupid rule in women's basketball.
I'll move them all up to half.
And the NBA, yeah.
And the NBA, right.
The men's get started in the Big Ten tournament. Well, actually, everything is on. Some have already started, but the Big Ten tournament gets started underway today. Indiana, of course, does not play until Friday. Bob's got another great piece out. This one on Trayce Jackson-Davis. Trayce Jackson-Davis goes from good to better to great, and Indiana soars with him. He has, since that period this winter, whatever you want to call, I keep calling it the line of demarcation, because there was a line of demarcation for this team to where they turned and everything was better since then, except for these last 6 games. They were kind of wishy-washy, but other than that, they've been pretty solid since then.
Yeah, they've been good. I mean, for me, the line of demarcation goes back even further to the second half against Michigan. I thought for Trayce, who had been playing well down the stretch, but that game and then the rest of the season, such as it was, I thought he was terrific. And you're right, for Indiana basketball generally, once they got off of that bad start in the Big Ten, what was it, 1-4, they've just been dynamic. And I feel bad for Xavier Johnson, but I think this is the best thing that could have happened, because trying to get him back into the lineup somehow would have been really, really difficult, especially with Jalen Hood-Schifino pretty much taking over that point guard spot.
But more importantly, Bob, I think that what that does for Mike Woodson and next year, that takes off an enormous load for him to have to go out and find a veteran point guard next year, because he would not have had that. He would have had Gabe Cupps coming in as a freshman or whatever, right. And Trey Galloway. That freshman guards don't work unless they're Jalen Hood-Schifino, and I don't think Gabe Cupps,
or they're at Purdue.
Exactly. So this gives that takes that off the board. He didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, he still doesn't have to go out and get some guys now. I mean, he's still
but he can. That's what I'm saying. His focus can now be focused there and there only. But the point guard is that's your quarterback, right. And so now he's got his quarterback for next year.
We don't know that for sure. I mean,
well, that's true, and I mentioned that yesterday.
He's gonna try and get the waiver, but from what I understand, he's right on the edge in terms of games played.
Well, here's what it is. It's a 10-game limit. He played 11, but that 11th game was like 9 minutes.
Still,
he played and he got hurt. I know, but he did not play 11 complete games. I don't know. They're gonna, but with the NCAA, you have no idea.
I have no idea. I mean, if you're really all about the student, about the student athlete, if you're really about them, then let them play. But
I mentioned the story yesterday of Brian Fitzgerald a few years ago, the football player for Indiana, who Indiana failed to send in a document that was supposed to have been sent in. And because they forgot to send that in on this particular day, he had to sit for an entire year.
That's absurd. I didn't know.
It is absurd. It is crazy. But yes, that's true. But that was the NCAA then. I think that with all these changes, they've got so much going on. This is the least of their worries. They're not going to worry about somebody going 9 minutes over a deal, I think.
Well, we'll find out. But I'm really excited about this postseason. I want to see Trayce just take it to another level. And I thought he played great against Hunter Dickinson, 27-9.
He did.
And those big burly centers don't give him the same trouble that they did in previous years. And if you get a chance, check out The Athletic. And I think I've got some stuff in there. Maybe people knew, maybe people didn't know. He was very clear with me. The only reason he came back this year is because he got COVID right before the combine. So it was really a blessing in disguise for him.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's a great piece. Make sure you pull it up at The Athletic. Bob's piece on Trayce Jackson-Davis today, talking about him coming back and how this season could be so different. If he was not here, I don't know what this season would be like for Indiana. It would not be what it is.
They'd finish 9th in the Big Ten without him. Come on.
You think they could finish that high?
Exactly. Excuse my voice. Sorry, it's morning voice. He's been as dominant for his team as anybody outside of Zach Edey.
Well, and I was curious to get your thoughts too on this. It seemed like it was a no-brainer that Zach Edey won Big Ten Player of the Year. It was no surprise, but I disagree
with that. That it's
no. Hold on. I'm not saying I thought it was a no-brainer. I'm saying I think a lot of people thought it was a no-brainer. But I thought when you look at the way Trayce Jackson-Davis played in those final, I don't know, since January, so the final 2.5 months or so, right. I thought he was the best player in the Big Ten, and that's not taking anything away from Zach Edey. I mean, he has a pedestrian day, and it's 18-15. Right. But I thought that the way Trayce Jackson-Davis could dominate games, the way he's so athletic, maybe the way Indiana finished with that roller coaster win-loss, those final 6 games, maybe that played a role. But I thought for a majority of the season, he was the best player in the Big Ten.
Well, you have to look at the totality of the season. And I don't think that Edey is a no-brainer player of the year. I thought that Trayce really closed the gap as the season wore on. But if I had a vote, and I don't vote on anything, but if I had a vote, it would be Edey with Trayce a close second.
In the Big Ten, for me, it's I think they're both co-players of the year in the Big Ten. Just because of how I think that Trayce Jackson-Davis did end up doing more, but he had that span where he didn't. So it ended up costing him.
And Edey's been consistent. I mean, every game he's putting up the numbers, and it's not like he's surrounded by greatness.
That's why they're not going to win, in my opinion.
Right? Yeah. IU's got 2 pros, Jackson-Davis and Hood Schifino. Purdue's got 1. And, and even then, I think he's a low second-round pick because of, his style of play and the fact the NBA, 20 years ago, he'd have been a top 5 pick. But the game has changed so significantly that I don't think a guy like Zach Edey, maybe he's a bench guy for you. He can block some shots. He can do some things around the rim. But no, I still think they made the right call. But as far as the postseason, I still think Indiana is going to go further than Purdue. We'll see if I'm right.
Oh, Brian Buck, we love you. Love you too, man. Appreciate you.
I think I said this a few weeks ago when you made that comment initially. I agree and disagree. I think.
Way to waffle there, Dustin.
Right. I'm really making a bold claim. Really
Way
making
to climb out on the limb there.
Here's this. Okay, so my concern with Purdue is how it is every year. That like when you get into the postseason, their guards haven't outside of the year they had Carson.
Do you mean
Edwards.
the fact that in 120 years of basketball, they've only been to 2 Final Fours? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean.
Oh, okay.
Outside of having Carson Edwards, their guards have not really been elite, and you have to be good at the guard position to win in March. And I feel like people can figure out whether they figure out a way to defend or neutralize the biggest guy on the floor. St. Peter's did it last year with Edey. Other teams have figured out ways to neutralize the big guy. So those are my concerns with Purdue. For Indiana, that team is tired and they don't have a bench. So if they get into a situation where they have to go toe for toe or in the overtime, like I think that they can win the first round, but that second round game, they get nothing from their bench.
Are you talking about Indiana now?
Yes, that is my concern for Indiana.
But they're off until Friday.
Oh, well, that has nothing to do with the NCAA tournament. They have to play 2 games in 3 days.
They're going to be rested. 2 games in 3 days is easy once you get to that point. You've got the week off in between.
You can't get 4 points from your bench and win in March. That's my opinion.
Absolutely
and
not.
That's what they're
I
getting.
agree with that. Well, you're right, and Bob, he's right. Their bench has been depleted. Geronimo has been on and off the injury list. Tamar Bates is just not
shot since July.
Yeah. So the starters, and even the starters, they cannot get consistency from Miller Kopp. I mean, shoot the damn ball. He's freaking 46%, but doesn't put up shots. At least Trey Galloway will put some shots up. But Miller Kopp has to try to put more shots up, in my opinion. He has the opportunity. People say that they don't work set shot. Bullcrap. He's 6'7". Put yourself in a position where when you catch the ball, you're in a range to be able to shoot the ball and go up and shoot over a guy. You're 6'7", but that's neither here nor there. But I think that's what this team will have to do to win. You cannot 2-man this thing.
No,
past everybody.
They need somebody. You think about the Butler runs, and I remember Smith came off the bench against Kansas State, a really good Kansas State team, and played lights out. And you've got to have somebody that you don't expect come out and give you 10, 12 really good minutes. Maybe that's Tamar Bates. Maybe he finds his range after being cold for the last God knows how long. Maybe that's Geronimo. Whatever. By the way, everybody says milk toast.
That's not how you spell it.
It's not how you spell it, boys and girls. It's milk toast. MILQUEUETOAST. Milk toast.
Yeah, it's not like you put a piece of bread in milk.
Right.
So we're here to help. We're editors.
Exactly.
This is it's constant learning, baby.
Constant learning.
It's what it's all about. If you're not learning, you're going backwards.